Hi, this is Big Top Books. I hope you're doing well. Today I'm going to hopefully finish this before I have to head into work. I have to go in about a little less than 2 hours, and I think I have about 130 pages left. So far, I'm really loving Funny Story. It's my favorite Emily Henry. I like them all. I've read them all. I usually wait. I've been waiting a year. Like, the new one will come out, and I'll read the last one. But I just decided I needed this now. I needed something a little lighter, but also really high quality, in a rom-com. And yeah, I find it so funny. It reminds me so much of New Girl, which is my favorite show. It's like word version of the show. That's to put it in very simple terms. It's much different than that. But yeah, I love the side characters. Main character's sister. I love how she's a children's librarian. That's something I would love to be one day. I almost wish there was more of those scenes, but that's just personal taste. And I love the other librarian, the relationship there. It's so fun, and just kind of quirky, like even like the scenes kind of bleed through in ways that are very sitcom-esque, especially if you know the prom scene. But yeah, I'm gonna be reading this for a while. Let's get to reading. I just love her side characters so much. They just make little scenes and they're so impactful. Even like the scene with the dad, it's another just like very sitcom-esque, especially New Girl, and I just love it. Gosh, she's so good with dialogue. Okay, everyone in this book is insane, but Starfire, and Daphne's dad might just take the cake. I love the forgiveness that Emily Henry puts into her books with all of her characters. It seems to be a running theme of all of her books, is showing this forgiveness, and it's so heartwarming. Yeah. I love Starfire. Expath, someone who gives off strong emotions instead of an empath. It's amazing. That's so cute. I will say one thing I don't necessarily enjoy about, I think this book in particular, I don't know if Emily Henry did it in her other books, but she uses a lot of italics, and sometimes they don't necessarily make the most sense. It just throws me off a little visually, but that's like the only thing I can say about this book. But then again, at the same time, I understand the use of italics, because I feel like she was going for a more I mean, all of her books are dramatic in ways, but a more like over-the-top dramaticness to this book, and it does work to bring that out. I just think it was a little bit overused, and I think also the font and the italics, sometimes it's hard to tell what is what. So I think if they were more pronounced, it might work more. These are just my thoughts on it. Also, she could have used maybe more like caps, like things like that, if she was going for like the sitcom feel. But that also might just all be in my head, and that's just how I'm reading it. Miles is so perfect for her. I'm a fan of all of the smells that she puts into the book, mainly the wood smoke. I think it just smells such a sense that brings such memories, and just wood smoke. It makes me think of summertime, and makes me think of being like out in the country where I lived, and it's just so pleasant, and I think it just adds another dimension to their love story. Giant Jenga sounds awful. I hate Jenga. It's so stressful. Bustling. Periwinkle. That's such a fun word. The scene I'm reading reminds me so much of Nick from New Girl and his dad. No. Not the third act. No, this is getting exciting. It's so sweet. God, she's so good at writing. The romance and was making you feel all gooey inside. I think it's time to turn off the video for this part. Well, that wasn't as long as I expected it to be. Something I really love about romance books, I think they don't get enough appreciation for it, is I think it's the ultimate character work, like from the beginning to the end of the novel. Like, I feel like there's more growth in the characters than with most other genres, because they have to go through growth in order to change to be in the relationship they're going to be in for most books. And like, you just really get to see the ins and outs of these people, because they're not typically doing all of these exciting, cool, like, things, like, say, like in a fantasy novel. They're doing the mundane things of life, maybe, or they're fun things too, like going on dates and stuff like that, but nothing too serious. But it's to keep the reader interested. All, like, you have to make sure the character is changing in ways still, without going through super traumatic things or super life-changing moments, besides falling in love, of course, which is life-changing. I don't know. I'm a little bit suspicious of what just happened. I think it'll be okay. I trust Miles. Oh no, Daphne forgot about Ashley. Of course. I knew this was gonna happen. Still, it got me. It set it up from the beginning of the story that she was gonna have to make this decision. probably read it, the rest of it, while I'm at work, and then I'll have more thoughts on it later. I'm excited to talk about this one. Alright, so I've already given a lot of my thoughts on Funny Story, but I wanted to do a final kind of comprehensive review. I think to start, I would give this 4.5 out of 5 stars. I loved it. I think it's definitely they're my favorite couple, Daphne and Miles. They're just so cute. I loved how Daphne was a children's librarian, and I loved how Miles was similar to Nick Miller, a little more put together, I would say. And I love, like I've talked about so much already, how it all just feels so much like New Girl, which is my favorite show. Yeah, and towards the end, I was crying. I was reading at work when I probably shouldn't have been, but I work at a bookstore, so I just thought it was so funny. I think this is definitely her funniest story. I think Funny Story was a great title. I think perhaps her best title of all the books. One thing I really liked is like her playing with form a little bit, getting a little kooky with how the formatting of the story was. Like I said, kind of feeling like a sitcom as you're reading through it. At least my experience. I don't know if that's everybody's experience, but I was catching on to that, and I'm excited. I hope she does more with playing with form in Great Big Beautiful Life coming out in April. That would be really cool. Yeah, I love this, and it has me wanting to read more rom-coms. But yeah, highly recommend Funny Story if you haven't gotten to it. If you've read all the other ones, they're all different in their ways. And I feel like this is my Emily Henry now. God, I also want to add, I once again love Emily Henry's side characters. Ashley and Julia were fantastic throughout, and I loved the relationships between some of the side characters too. And even I like Starfire and the parents of our main character. They all felt very distinctive, and they brought something extra to the story. Instead of just existing, they were there for a great reason. And I like how it all tied together with them as well. It's Super Bowl Sunday, and I will be watching that soon, but this morning, this early afternoon, I just finished I Want to Be Where You Are by Christina Forrest, and once again, I'm so happy. When I'm finishing this book, every one of her books just brings me so much joy. I think she's just such a talented writer. This is her debut, and it's such a good debut. It's nice and short, too. It's like 266 pages, I think, which is nice every so often. I feel like every book I read now is like 300, 400 pages. And it's nice to have such like well edited, like every line feels like it was looked at with very careful eyes, and I appreciate that. In her author's note, she talked about the different ways she researched by actually, because it's about a ballet dancer, Chloe. I'll talk about what the book's about in just a second, but she actually did that herself because she loved dancing. She's been dancing since she was 8, Christina Forrest said in the author's note, and she kind of got back into that once she moved into New York City. It was a struggle for her, she said, because she was just rusty. It had been a while. But it was a good way for her to really get in the head of Chloe, which I think that's so cool. And she read different books by famous ballet dancers, and I just really appreciate when an author puts in the work, and you can tell the work was put in. It's not a perfect book by any means. It's really hard to get it perfect on your first try, but I really, really loved this. The romance was really cute, and I wanted to clarify, when I was talking about it in an earlier video, I said Chloe was 13, and at the time I was like, that doesn't make sense, she goes on a road trip. Yeah, she's more like 16 or 17, and Eli is also like 17, and they're thinking about going to college, and that's a big part of the book, is them trying to, like Chloe wanting to go to New York City for ballet school, and Eli has his own thing that he wants. I won't spoil what that is, but I really love the road trip that they go on. Like I love that in romance stories, or just stories in general, when people are in such tight quarters. I think I also grew up on the road a lot, working in the circus, like traveling. A good bit of my childhood and like teenagehood was just being in a truck or a car and moving, and lots of things happen in that space, and it's cool that she explored that. Yeah, and I just love all the music also that she includes. It's very, like, it's just such a happy feeling, like all these things that she includes with it. And at the very end, we get a playlist, and I think that's cool. I noticed that music's a big part of her other books as well. And I love, like, Christina Forrest. I've read a lot of her books now. I haven't read her two most recent, but I want to get to those soon. But I just love the way she talks about art. You can tell she loves art in, like, all its forms: fashion, obviously writing, dancing, like art, like drawing and painting, like, and she talks about it in such a cool way, and you can just tell she has so much love for all the arts. Although it's not my favorite of hers, I'd put it right up there with her other YA. I think I like her YA more than her adult. I've only read one adult from her, but I think a lot of kids, especially kids that are dancers, and maybe struggle with wanting to feel seen and wanting that as a life they want to chase, and just like any artist that just feels like they don't have the support that they want or need, this could really be a comfort for them. It healed a little part of me. Yeah, it's a beautiful book. Thank you, Christina Forrest, for bringing this to the world. Alright, so I've had a bit of an interesting reading night. I was watching the Super Bowl, and it got pretty boring towards the end, just because it was such a blowout. Congratulations to the Eagles on winning. I was not rooting for you, and Swifties across the globe are mourning tonight, but so I started reading instead after the halftime show, which really enjoyed Kendrick. I thought it was brilliant. It was like a work of art, kind of watching it, and something new that I don't think the Grammys has ever really seen before, so it was really nice. So after halftime, I started to reread Legendborn, which was on my February TBR, and I was into it at first, but I think I just I wasn't in the mood to do a reread at the moment. I wanted a new story. I still am really excited for Oathbound, and maybe I'll get to a reread of Legendborn and Bloodmarked, or at least Bloodmarked. I don't remember the events of Bloodmarked as well as I would like. I didn't enjoy Bloodmarked as much as I remember enjoying Legendborn more. I've read Legendborn twice already. I read it on my own first, and then I did a read of it. I read it for a class. Enjoyed it both times, and I don't want to say I was enjoying it now because I stopped reading it. That's just because I'm not really in a fantasy headspace. I think I had so much fantasy from like December to January, and now I'm wanting more like contemporary and romance is kind of where my reading brain is at. But I am excited to get back into that world nevertheless, so it's for Legendborn. And I have a cool signed copy, which is always cool. I get as many signed copies as I can. So then I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna force it. Maybe I'll get to it. But so I was like, I'll go see what else I got. So I picked up Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez, and I am excited to read this trilogy. I can't think of what the other two books are now. I know, oh my god, one of them, the last one, is Summer is in the title, but started reading it. I was enjoying it. I think the writing was really good, and I liked, like, it was funny dialogue, and just the opening scene, like, it was just humorous, everything about it, and I liked, it was switching from perspectives between the two, I'm assuming the love interest, but again, I was like, I don't know, not really completely into it. I know I will be at some point, because that's how I am. I'm very much a mood reader at this point. I don't even know why I made a February TBR, because I'm probably going to read a whole bunch of other stuff, but Part of Your World, I am going to come back to it, and I'm excited to now that I know, like, the tone of it, and what I'm getting into. I think I'll really enjoy it when I'm ready for that. Sorry for that noise. That's my radiator kicking on. But yeah, so I was like, I want to read something. I knew I just was in the mood for a good story, and I was kind of getting frustrated because I couldn't find one. So I was like, you know what, let's try something I have had on my shelf for a long time and I need to get to, but just, you know, some books you just for some reason don't get to. And I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna get to it now. And that book is We Deserve Monuments, by Jas Hammonds. And I kind of wish I was just reading it right now. I wanted to talk about it though. But We Deserve Monuments. So We Deserve Monuments is about this family that moves to this new town. It is in Bardell, Georgia. I don't think it's a real place, and the main character, her name's Avery. They moved from DC to here because mom got a letter that her mom, so Avery's grandmother, has cancer, so they have to move to just be with her during this time. And she got the notes from the neighbor of the grandmother. Her name's Letty's the grandmother, and Carol is the neighbor that sent the letter. And when they get back to the house there, Carol is really not the happiest to see her. Just like, it's been so long, basically, but I'm not giving justice to the voices, and it feels so real. These people, everyone has such a distinct voice, and I say that about a lot of books, but it feels especially real in We Deserve Monuments. These characters are just they are living off the page, it's a painting. It's amazing to see such brilliant dialogue, and I'm really enjoying Avery. And there's a couple, Carol's daughter, not Jade, Simone. So a big thing, Avery is gay, and I knew that coming in. Part of this is that there's a love story with it. So I was like, ooh, is this going to be what the love story is? And yes, so Avery already immediately kind of has a crush on Simone, and we're kind of getting their dynamic. Simone's really fun, talks about astrology a lot. But there's a little bit of where Carol is Letty, the grandmother's why do you let why are you letting Simone hang out with Jade? So a friend comes. Simone and Jade are there, and they go off, and then Letty's like, yeah, why you shouldn't hang out I don't know if she says you shouldn't hang out with those girls, but there's basically grandmother's like, you shouldn't hang out with Jade, and so you're getting this dynamic between Avery, Simone, and Jade, and it's really like I'm already feeling like the friendship between them. It's really strong, and yeah, it's called We Deserve Monuments. We're already getting a little bit of that because the school that they're going to. It's kind of like the private school, so there's two schools. One is like the public school, it's predominantly black, and the other one is like a private school, and it's, I think they said 98% white. But Avery, who is black, is at this school, and Simone's one of the only other black girls at the school, so she feels that immediate, that connection, and Simone is happy to have another black girl at the school with her. And Avery, yeah, there's a lot I want to talk about. It's really good. I'm probably gonna cut down a lot of this because I feel like I rambled, but yeah. Also, Avery is dealing with her old friends back home in DC, who are missing her, trying to keep that connection. And yeah, there's so much I'm interested in. We're getting the backstory with Simone and Carol, like how they are in this town and how it's been growing up. So I don't know if there's gonna be more characters, but we did get two backstories that are different from like the because we're Avery first person for most of it. So yeah, it's a lot, but enjoying this, excited to continue. Alright, just a quick update. I'm continuing to love We Deserve Monuments. So far, it feels pretty perfect. Like there's not much to complain about. I didn't expect to fall in love with these characters like I have. I already feel so much for them. I don't know what Jazz put into this book, but I just feel so much light with every relationship and realness. These characters are not perfect, and there's definitely things in this book that I think could cause it, unfortunately, to be a banned book. I don't know if it is, but I love the directions it's going, and it just feels so authentic, like to what this author wants to say. And there's there's a murder mystery aspect to it that perhaps is in the summary. I didn't read the summary, I just wanted to go in blind. That's really interesting, and a lot about identity. Alright, so I have about 40 pages left in We Deserve Monuments. It continues to be such a stellar book. I'm just such a huge fan of the character work happening here. Like the conversations that happen feel so real, and like the growth, and how these characters change, and like there's some really like shocking things that happen, like where characters do stuff I could never imagine myself doing. There's really heartbreaking things that happen, but also so many moments of joy. Yeah, and I love how the main character Avery interacts with each of the different characters in this book. Like there's such real relationships, and so different from one another. And I have nothing but high praises for this book so far. About 40 more pages, and I have a feeling there might be a few tears coming, but here we go. I'm excited. So we've made it to the end of the video, and now I just want to wrap up. First of all, thank you if you've made it this far. It really means a lot. So in this video we read Funny Story, Emily Henry, I Want to Be Where You Are, Christina Forrest, and ended with We Deserve Monuments by Jas Hammonds. I loved all of these books. It was really nice to get back to Emily Henry. I just, like I talked about so much, I love the New Girl vibes, and it's just like a perfect rom-com. She delivers once again. And yeah, Miles and Daphne are my new favorite Emily Henry couple. Christina Forrest, I love like the coming of age story we got here. It was a little over the top. It really felt like a younger YA at first, but I ended up really loving it. I think it really got comfortable. The writing got more comfortable as it went on, and it was just so cute and so made me so happy. It was so heartwarming, and it was fun to read about dance and ballet. And then ending with We Deserve Monuments. I just wanted to read a few quotes actually for this one, because I think this might have been my favorite from all the reads, although they were all great. And Funny Story really was incredible. But just a few of the quotes to end this, because I just think they're spectacular. The first one, and I don't want to give any spoilers away, so I tried to pick quotes that are just kind of general quotes. So the first one, I need to get comfortable and look around and take in the view. I needed to let go and sink into the possibility of a new friendship. As we walked into school, they looped their arms around me, drawing me close like bees on lavender. It was a closeness that felt like a promise, a closeness that assured me I wouldn't fall through the cracks even if I tried. Oh, and I love how that just speaks to the friendships in this, and how Avery's growing and gaining these new friendships in her new place. The next one, let's see. Our laughter followed us the entire way home. I just love that image. And this one talks of like how the characters are, and I thought it was really just strong characterization, which I think is the strongest part of this book, is how every character just feels so real and like they really existed in our world. And it is, if I was a ship and Mama Letty was the iceberg, then Mom was the rocky, unforgiving ocean. Just a beautiful image, and it really makes sense as you read the book. And then we have, tell me everything, I said, and she turned to me like a giddy schoolgirl. I'd never seen her face light up like this, and I thought about Simone's cactus analogy, how prickly could still bloom. And then this one, I think, just really tells, there's a couple quotes here, but just tells the whole story, just how it moves and flows throughout. When one corner of my universe righted itself, the other tilted. And then at the bottom, it was a constant tilt-a-whirl of emotions, the universe tilting and righting itself, tilting and righting. And then a couple more, sorry, there was just so many quotes in this. I just really, really love the writing. This one, I think it's a little bit towards the end, but I think it just really captures the feeling of love when you're younger, especially. There's a lot here, but it also felt like this, like being wrapped in the navy glow of a fall evening with golden leaves beneath our feet. It felt like an angel in a fresh layer of snow. And I love this part. And a text message saying all schools were closed. Being around her felt like the opening of a tree bud after a long winter's sleep. And I wondered if that was what love really was, a four-season delight. And then, I think it's just beautiful, this part, and one of my favorite quotes from the entire book. But if they looked closer, they would have seen our chests rising, they would have noticed our blinking eyes, they would have seen a living, breathing example of something marvelous and worthy of remembrance. They would have seen us. So yeah, I love this book. I've already talked so much about it, but I think it's just a really important one, and I really hope more and more people pick it up. I've been recommended by some really brilliant minds that I know, like readers, and they were completely right. And I'm going to be recommending it all I can. We deserve monuments. Jas Hammonds. This book deserves the monuments. So those are the books that I read in this video, and for my next couple books, just want a little preview. We're going to get some Jane Austen, Sense and Sensibility. Gonna give her a try again. Wasn't a huge fan of the first Jane Austen, but hope is still there. And then I think my next one is, this will be the next one I read. I'm gonna read Jane Austen. That's gonna be my Valentine's Day read, and there'll be a few more days after that, I'm sure. But my very next read, I'm gonna do Jason Reynolds' Ghost. I love Jason Reynolds. I read Long Way Down, and that's also a really impactful book. If you haven't read that one, it's a novel in verse, so it's a really quick read, so it's like told in poetry but as like a story. But this is a middle grade. I'm really excited about this one. But again, thank you for watching if you've made it this far. This is Big Top Books, and I hope you have a great rest of your day, night, wherever you might be at in the day. Bye.